Hello and welcome to Real Talk by Brave Moms Academy. Today, we are talking about a hidden sin that is running rampant in our American Christian culture. It is destroying
Hello.
families and it is creating narcissistic adults and entitled kids. It is not good, and we're going to name it today. It is where the shame and condemnation is hiding in your life. It's what's keeping it alive, and it is the sin of people pleasing. That's what I said. The sin of people pleasing. The fear of man and the fear of God cannot exist in the same space. We are either suffering from the idolatry of keeping everybody happy and making sure they think good things about us, or we are surrendered to the Lord Jesus Christ and living in authentic freedom. And today we're going to talk about how this plays out and three keys about it. In other words, what's really going on? Why is this running rampant in Christianity, and how to heal it in an authentic walk with Christ? We're talking about it today. If you know somebody who struggles with this, who tends to give in when they want to stand up for themselves, or they really worry about how other people think about them, I want you to share this video right now. Pause, stop what you're doing, send this video to your friends. Y'all get into this conversation because it'll change your life. Alyssa, go ahead and tell us how we got on this topic today.
Yeah, so yesterday, wait, I want to say yesterday, but it was Sunday. Today's Tuesday. Yeah, Sunday, I heard a great sermon from our pastor on raising up our children um, to be Jesus followers. And as I was listening, I was hearing the things that he was saying um, with my old lens of how I used to hear a sermon or the gospel preached, and also my new lens of what I know now. And it got me thinking this morning. I think maybe I talked about that yesterday a little bit too, um, on Sunday, but it got me thinking this morning about just wondering actually, how did I go 35 years under the radar, growing up in the Christian church, living in shame and condemnation? Because like I said, I hear messages and I can see how I would have taken the do the right thing for Jesus, and that meant go do more, go strive, you're not good enough. Feeling the condemnation of that and just trying to be better for him.
Yes.
And now that I have an intimate relationship with Jesus and I talk to Holy Spirit and I ask him what he thinks about things, and I ask him how he sees me, what he thinks of me. And I wait upon him to tell me who I am. Now I hear those messages, and I hear that all of that doing comes from being loved by him. Um, it comes from that relationship with him. So I wanted to share, I guess the verse that I was reading this morning when I was thinking about this was John chapter 3, starting in verse 17. For God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. And whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe is condemned already because he has not believed in the name of the only Son of God. So just that reminder this morning, um, I just felt so much love and peace reading that. I know that now. I've been walking closely with the Lord for over 2 years in such intimacy, and just hearing that reminder again today, and so grateful that I found him in this season of motherhood, and that I have the opportunity to live that out in front of my kids and to show them what it looks like to not just be a good Christian, just be obedient, be religious, put on a smile and do all the things that, the church is telling you to do, but how to meet with the Lord, how to hear his voice, where to go to find the answers for life, and live in the fullness that the Bible tells us that we have because of the Lord, and to not have to walk in shame.
Yeah. It's so wild hearing you talk about it. This morning we had this conversation and we're talking about it today. Um, I remember hearing a handful of leaders in my life at a distance, like on YouTube, say that they live without shame, guilt, fear, or condemnation. And just like keeping my earbuds in and listening to their sermons, like, I have to get it. I'm going to get it. Like one day I'm going to know what that is like. And I did not understand how to get from here to there. And I did not understand how my Christian culture was actually reinforcing the beliefs that were keeping me stuck. And so that's what we're talking about today. And I'm so excited to do it because this is full of so many truths that we operate with in Brave Moms that really set people free. So put on your seatbelt, get out a pen and paper, or take notes in your phone. Like I said, share this with a friend. This is going to be a good one. There are life-changing truths we're going to talk about here. And I think the number one way that Christian culture perpetuates a people-pleasing cycle, I think people-pleasing is where our shame hides. So I'm ashamed of who I am, so I have to cover it up by keeping you happy. If someone's mad at me, I need to talk them down, because what if they're mad at me and it means there's something wrong with me? Or what if I stay home sick one day and it means I'm not enough? Like if I honor what I need and I honor my values and priorities, what if it means I'm too much? I am expressive and bold and in your face. What if that's actually so uncomfortable for people? The way people perceive us and respond to us tells us there's something wrong with us. But if we move on from there and we just be what we are, we take care of our needs and we have value in the way we communicate with people and relate, and we manage our priorities, we find out what we were so afraid of. And it turns out all that I'm afraid of is that there's something really wrong with me. And after I found out that was not true because of the sacrifice of Jesus, life got really different. I lost some friends, found some new ones, all kinds of stuff happened. But I think the number one way this is happening in our Christian culture is that our Christian culture in America is about being somebody, not about needing somebody. And walking with Christ is about leaning on him. It is about 100% dependency. So your point number one, if you're taking notes, is that our culture is about being somebody, but Christ's culture is about needing somebody. Y'all see us here on YouTube, like preaching a message, but that is not because we have it together. That is because we are in continual receiving of his incredible love for us. And we trust that him in us is enough. And we let the chips fall where they will. So we talked about this picture a little bit today about in our old life, like trying to put fruit on a tree. Like I want my house to be put together, and I want my hair, my makeup and my clothes and my kids' clothes to look good on a Sunday. And I want people to know that we have a happy marriage and like respectful kids. So we put it on. It's like putting it on the outside of us. And so we were talking about this picture of a tree, like the tree doesn't actually have good fruit growing from the inside out. So we just like go tie it on there. I like this image of like, I'm gonna go get a crate of apples from the store and then like crate them out into my orchard and take a little twine and climb up on a ladder and tie fruit on the tree. It is exhausting to pretend. It's exhausting to go to church and think that none of these other people are a mess like we are at home. And so I better just act like them. I need them to know that we're okay. Financially, relationally, emotionally, mentally, I really wanted people to think that I was somebody. Can you relate to that, Alyssa? Was that your experience as well?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think um I wanted that, but it was like being held in this tension of wanting that to please because I thought that my peace and my worth was in that versus knowing that like this isn't right. Like you said, you'd hear people talk about it and you're like, I want that. How do I get from where I am to like true peace and joy and no shame? Like, how do I get there? So there's tension there of deep down knowing like pretending is not the way, but it kind of
Mm-hmm.
seems like either everyone else is just pretending and I just got to go along, or everyone else is getting it and I'm not, so there's something wrong with me. But yeah, keep
Yeah.
going.
So wild. It's like the modern day church should be more like an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Like, hi, my name is Katie and I'm a recovering addict. Like, I am a wreck without Christ. And at the same time, like, this radical freedom leaves me, I'm not an addict anymore. Like, it's real. The energy that you see me bring here, like on the internet, I'm not pretending it. This is what life is like. I get to be exactly me as I am. And this, we go through these layers, right? Life hits us again and we are stripped again. And a true follower of Christ allows that stripping. Like, we are broken before him so that he can tell us the truth and be everything that we need. And we go step by step from there. Our step by step happens to look like creating a place for women to come get this same breakthrough. So it looks different for everybody where that's going to go. But this whole idea of like a gathering of happy people who have it together is a culture that is not helping us create real disciples of Jesus who are full of authentic joy. That just, it kind of blows my mind. It makes me feel a little bit itchy. That our Christian culture is so ready to like put people on a stage or like give somebody influence, or I don't know, it's just like a famous club. Like, it can be. And the truth about following Jesus is I am ripped open before him and he only has what I need. And it is in going on that dark journey with him of like facing what I feel and what I really think and taking all my pain and anger to him and letting him speak back to me and fulfill me. That's how fruit grows on this tree. That is where patience comes from. Like, I can handle my kid's big feelings because he can handle mine. And that's not a knowledge that I have. It's a living experience that I'm in continually. And this is what we're doing. So number one point, instead of being somebody, you got to need somebody and have this encounter with Christ again and again and again with all the big thoughts and scary feelings in your head and get honest about what's going on. That is point number one. When we talk about honesty, I really think this leads us to point number two, is that Jesus is exclusive. And this makes me laugh a little bit. Jesus is exclusive. And I think in our American Christianity, we wish he was inclusive. It's like the doors are open. Like, everybody come on in. We're actually trying to gather as many people as we can. Like, flyers go out for new churches and for like bouncy house events on a Sunday. And like, we got the big name worship leader who's coming in to like put on a concert, and we want people to come. And it's actually like an inclusive spirit, a spirit of inclusion. But Christ actually, if you read the Gospels knowing this, he was actually very exclusive. Like, if you want to follow me, you're going to eat my body and you're going to drink my blood. He was like scattering crowds all the time. He was like, to the rich young ruler was like, I did all these things. What else do I need to do? He's like, go sell everything you have. And they both knew he was not going to do that. And Jesus let that rich young ruler walk away sad. He didn't go chase him and like, come on, please, if you just could. He didn't help him find ways he could squeeze through the door. He clearly drew a line and let the man choose. When we look at the story of the prodigal son, the extravagant father did not go chase the son. Like, hey, please don't ask for your inheritance. Can we just work on our relationship instead? The son was like, give me what you have. That's for me. I'm out of here. And the father was like, go have that. I release you. And then he waited for his will to change. So Jesus is exclusive to those who want him. And I think that maybe some of you, I know that I did, you need a boundary. Jesus is not boundaryless. We were taught a boundaryless Christ, and we're expressing a boundaryless love, and that is not who God is. A boundary is simply the definition, the truth of who I am. It's the outline and the identity of who I am. A boundary is an outline, and the shape it makes is you. And Jesus, he had an outline. You could clearly see what he was for and what he was not for. And he didn't have to explain it a whole lot. He talked about it, but more, he did it. He went away in the early morning to be with his father. That was not time for him and anybody else. It says he left the crowds and got on a boat to travel across the way because there was too many. One time he disappeared from the midst of them. He had boundaries. He healed the sick, he raised the dead, and he told people the hard truth that they would need to know if they wanted him. And if our Christianity doesn't look like that, then our Christianity is harboring questions about who we are, which is really all that shame and condemnation is I don't know about who I am and if I'm okay. So some of you need a boundary. Alyssa, do you have any thoughts on that? More notes before we go on?
Well, I want to make sure that anybody who's come this far and watching looks down below at the link for our boundary builder. Make sure you grab that. You want to tell them about that?
I do want to tell them about that. Thank you so much for saying that. So we've included here, it's a free PDF download. You can use it right now. It's like a cheat sheet. If you are wondering what a boundary is or how to define your boundaries, how to establish boundaries, if you set a limit with somebody and you second guess it because of the way they respond, I want you to grab this cheat sheet. So what it is, one sheet is 5 qualifiers for what a boundary is. A boundary is not a rule you make for somebody else. That's just a controlling expectation that you hope that they'll follow, and you are sure to be disappointed. A boundary is an agreement that you make with you that you follow through with, and you let other people deal with it. So there's a cheat sheet on what a biblical boundary is. It's called the Boundary Builder. Below, you can download it right now. Enter your details. It's going to be immediately like you'll enter your details and it will just pop up on the screen. And then it has a second sheet included, which is like where you can there's 2 examples from me, and then you can brainstorm your own boundaries. What would be so cool is if you took that 5-point checklist and you put it on your fridge or you stick it in your journal while you're doing your boundary work. Y'all, boundaries is identity work. So it is a journey, and it's okay that you don't know what that is right now, but take the resources that you can and start building some boundaries. You need boundaries. You were not made to be fuzzy or hard to see. You have an identity. It has an outline, and we want to know the real you, and Christ will dwell in the real you and shine among men. That's his call. So do your boundary work. Download the thingy. Thank you for saying that, Alyssa. They need to get the thingy. Grab the PDF. It's not a thingy. It's a PDF. Okay. The third thing that we're going to talk about is this shift from, you've got to make a shift from knowing and learning to living in action. In America today, our Christian culture has a lot to do with showing up to a Sunday meeting, hearing a sermon, getting information, and feeling inspired, and little to do with living day to day in honor of Christ and who you are, hearing him and doing what he says. And that is a tough shift. I remember, like I said, listening in my earbuds all the time to people who were free. I listened to a video like this and be like, I'm going to have it. I'm going to get the freedom. Like somebody, I'm going to event God, just like, please put it inside me. Not realizing I needed to be stripped bare. I needed to let my will make a mess and find out what was really truly in my will for God to go to work on that. And the way that we grow is by doing a new thing. So today, your new thing to do is to honor your own boundaries, which is your value, your unique values, and your priorities based on what you're called to do. If you honor those things with people and you let them feel however they're going to feel about it, you'll be like in the game following Christ. He's not asking you to follow him outside of who you are. He wants to put himself inside you and shine out through what he already designed, which is exactly what he already made. It's the you that we are waiting for. You, who you are, is what your marriage needs. You, who you are, is what your kids need. It's what your in-laws need. It's what the broken relationship between you and your parents need. You're not waiting for God to do a miracle from like outside you somewhere. He's waiting for you to take him up on his radical forgiveness, which means everything you've ever done is washed clean and paid for, and your operating system has been made whole, clean. Your motives are good now. If you've received Christ, that means you can trust your gut and go with it and let him talk to you along the way. Sometimes it feels like God has closed the door on you. If you can't hear him and you don't know how to connect to him, it's like you're facing a door, but he's actually given you a doorknob, and he's living inside this glorious world waiting for you to join him. I remember feeling like I couldn't hear God or didn't know what he was asking me for. Alyssa, do you have thoughts about this? Or you've talked about like your kids are like, how do I do that? This is like we're getting in the game. We're doing it.
Yeah, it's definitely been something that I've struggled to try to help my kids go to him. They come to me, which I'm so thankful for, but encouraging them to grow their faith and get a firm foundation because that's who they should be looking to. Um, they often will say, well, I can't see him. I can't talk to somebody who's not real. And I think that's probably more common than we think in the church. People are like, I'm showing up on Sunday and I'm taking all this info, but I don't know how to talk to God. I don't know what he sounds like. Um, so yeah, I want to know what you would say to that. And what do you say to your kids or people that bring that to you?
Yeah. The scripture says, everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. And if you seek me with all of your heart, you will find me. Knock and the door will be opened. Seek and you will find. The Lord said, I stand at the door and knock. So the issue, in my experience, everyone that I've worked with and my children, myself and my family is really not that God is unavailable. It's that he's waiting. And what he's waiting for is your gut level honesty. You go to the Lord and you say, hey, I can't solve this. What are you asking me to do? And you have your hands open, meaning you're going to do whatever he says because you know you have a need, and that need is the Christ. He's going to open that door. And he's probably going to give you one thing to do. And you turning that knob is literally doing that thing. Sometimes I think I just need to go back to the last thing he said that I didn't do. And sure enough, he's ready to rock right on the other side of that door. He is a God of go. He is not sitting and analyzing and thinking and having exciting opinions. That's not who he is. He takes action and he is effective for that reason. And you can be equally effective. I think this is the coolest thing. Go ahead, Alyssa.
I think another layer to that too, for myself, I found was I didn't think that I was unwilling to hear from him. I was afraid that if I asked for him to speak to me, I would misinterpret or I would hear something and not know, is that really him? Or is that me? Or is that the enemy? How can I trust what I'm hearing is him?
Yeah, totally. So this is a great question. I've actually had people ask me 3 years into this work, I've had people ask me, how do you know if what you're doing is the Lord's will for you? And these aren't people who are scrutinizing. These are people who are wanting to pursue Christ in their career and in their passion. And they want to know for them, like, hey, Katie, how'd you get this far? Like, how do you know that's what God called you to? Because they have big dreams that they want to go do. And here's the honest to God truth. I didn't. I didn't. I knew I had a passion in my heart to help people. And so I took the first step. One of the cool things that happened is like, hey, God, what if I made a program where women could get freedom in their identity? And then next thing I know, I have this advertisement for me like, hey, you have this genius and this expertise, but what if you turned it into a program? And I'm like, click, add. And, I'm praying about this the whole way through. You could be advertised something like that, and it's not from the Lord. One of the cool things that happened along the way, though, was like, I'm thinking about hiring these people to help me turn what I know into a step-by-step program. And I had an extra car to sell. And not only did it sell for exactly the amount of the investment, it sold the day before I was going to get on the phone to make the investment. So that was just one cool thing. Cars in my heart with God mean like ministry. And so I sold one ministry to begin another. He just takes you one step at a time. There's been so many times in BMA where I have paced my living room and my kitchen and said, Lord, I don't think I can do it. I am a single parent. I've drained my retirement to keep the doors open to the ministry. There were so many moments I thought, I don't have the time, the energy, or the resources. You have the wrong woman. And thought, maybe I made this up. Like, maybe I'm doing this on my own. I'm having a moment, little meltdown, pacing my living room, worshiping and praying and saying, hey, Lord, if this is you, if it's your ministry, you're going to send us one student by tomorrow. That's how I'm going to know. And then lo and behold, within an hour, I would have a phone call from someone I was not expecting at all saying, I heard you're running this organization. I need your help. I'd like to jump into Brave Moms Academy. Just so many stories like that over and over and over again. The question really isn't like, What is the big thing that God is asking me to do? The question is, what is he asking you for right now? And I like to think of it like a woven blanket, because I've got these beautiful muslin woven blankets on my bed. And I think about each thread. That's how I think about my journey with God and obeying him, what he's called me to do, my faith walk, my whole walk with him. I think of it as it's thousands of little yeses that create this really strong fabric that you couldn't tear apart. That's how I think of it when someone says, like, Katie, how do you know you're doing what God's asking you to do? I'm like, oh, let me just show you this thread and this thread and this thread. It's undeniable when you're on the road. But that requires for you to stop holding it together yourself. This whole deal, this condemnation and shame is about your self-righteousness. You are trying to put it on and be somebody rather than letting him be your redemption and being what he already made. You trust him in that place and take all of the feelings and the pain and the questions right to him. John 14, 15, and 16 says that the Holy Spirit is here to lead you into all truth. He's ready to answer your questions. He's not holding out on you. You're holding it together. That's what makes it feel this way. I want you to walk through the door of trusting Christ. Open that knob, do exactly the one thing he says, and watch what happens. People are going to be mad. People are going to be sad. And that's the part you're letting go of. You are not here to make them happy. Jesus did not come to make people happy. He came to be redemption for them so that you could go be redemption for someone else, not sacrifice your life for them, but you could wake them up by him living and breathing through your life. That's not always friendly. It's not always nice. It is you being you. The final thing I want to say is you've got to get yourself in a culture that's swimming upstream, because this is not an ordinary way to live. It's not an ordinary way to live on the Instagram or at the grocery store or even in your church on Sunday. Surrendering your life to Jesus Christ and not doing it yourself, not holding it together, making everybody happy is an upstream way to live. You're going to have to find yourself some doers, not hearers, but doers. There's people in the chat. This is so fun. I'm going to go visit this. Thoughts on Jews. That is a non-specific question, but I would love to talk about it. Do you have something more specific? I didn't believe in God until I tried psychedelic mushrooms. They changed my life. That is fascinating. I see some W's. Come on, read it. How do I donate? Awesome. Nicholas Stoller, if you stick your email in there, I would love to talk about that. Let's see. I'm trying to scroll down. How did Mary give birth if she was there? These are fun. Please give me a chance. This is really fun. A lot of stuff going on today. Hey, maybe this is a better hour to go live than other times. Melissa, this is fun. Okay. Y'all, this video will be posted. If you have further questions, you want to connect with us, you can leave a comment after the video sits there. We would absolutely love to talk to you. You can email hello@bravemomsacademy.com. That is how to reach. That is my personal address. You can reach me directly right there. If this is helpful to you, we're going to keep flipping the tables on cultural Christian beliefs that are keeping you stuck emotionally, keeping you stuck in your relationships and your identity. We're going to be doing that over and over and over again. So subscribe, send this to a friend, hit the like button. That helps our videos go to more people. And we will see you tomorrow, Wednesday, June 10, 9 a.m. PST. You are so brave. Listen to the Holy Spirit. He has the words of life.